Hi friends, this is the next issue of Lynn's Copycat Art, and I'm still in the November-December catalog. We're going to be in this catalog through the end of December, but let's see what we're going to work on today. Let's turn to page 30, and we are going to work on this particular stamp set. It's Warmest Greetings Card Front Stamp and Thin Cuts. So you can see it's a beautiful botanical here, and it has a border and a couple of sayings, and I'm going to go over those details. Now, these right here, just so you know, are all thin cuts that do your great little titles. So this is something that if you're interested in, one of the things I highly recommend when you're going to do thin cuts like this is to buy our adhesive sheets and stick the paper to the adhesive sheet, run it through twice through the die cutting machine, and then you can easily peel and stick any of these on. It will save you a lot of time, I think, overall. All right, so let's show you. This is the card that I've created, but I want to talk to you a little bit about that and just show you what that card looks like, okay, for a close-up. But let me show you the stamp set and thin cut first. So one of the things I really wanted to show you is about when you have a brand new stamp set and something like this size, you really do want to take care of how you pull it off the sheet that it comes on. So you definitely will have to have that big block. This one right here is really large, and just carefully, it's on here quite tightly to the sheet. So you don't really just rip it off, but you just roll it basically as for the first time. So hold that down and just carefully peel it off. And this way you don't rip it. Okay, so I'm going to place that right on that block. And I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about the border one, right? So this is a beautiful border. So you can see I'm just carefully pulling that off. And it has its own like little memory, right? So once you do that, I mean, you can bend these, just so you know. You could kind of give your stamp a little bit of a curve if you wanted to, right on the block. Just want to show that to you. But if you want to get it straight, what I like to do is just lay it out, and since I have a grid in front of me, I want to carefully do that so I have as straight a line as the stamp will give you on its own, and then I like to put my block over it. So the first thing you need to do is to rub it up against your skin, and I'm just going to grab an ink that I have nearby, Jade. Walk it across when you have a big stamp, and then always test it straight up and down, and that looks great. And then you always want to clean your stamp. Now let's check out this big stamp right here. The same thing. The next thing I'd like you to do is to take your ink pad and ink it up, whatever color you have. We're just breaking this in. So if you can see, I'm actually walking it on top of the stamp. And I know it has a little bit of blotchiness, just a little bit, because it's brand new, so it has to be broken in. So what I like to do is just, the bigger the stamp, the more pressure, okay? So just put a lot of pressure on it, and it actually came out great. So this is an outline stamp. It's beautiful on its own. But I want to break it in a little bit more before I actually go to my project. So this is something you should always do to all of your stamps. So I'm still going to continue. If you twist it, you actually get a little bit more ink on it, and then tap it to get the swirly look out. All right, that looks pretty good. So here you can see this is a beautiful large stamp, and it's on a 5x6 block. It's so pretty. There's also this message, which is the wishing you comfort and joy. And then there's 'Tis the Season, Warmest Greetings, and the beautiful border stamp, which I already have set up on a block. The other thing I want to let you know is these two fit inside this thin cut. So let's take a quick look at that thin cut. You see it here, but here are some ideas of what you can use. So this is Seabrook. We have Scarlet. We have Pine, and we have Scarlet Glitter. So it works with glitter paper. And I wanted to let you know that if you were going to put in this sentiment, say right inside here, you would need a strip of paper that's 3/8 of an inch wide by 2 5/8. Now, if you're not familiar with those precise measurements, send me your email and I will send you a little ruler guide that will help you with that. Now, this is the other one, 'Tis the Season. So you can see it has a full back piece and then the letters are white. That means that everything you stamp will be in that color. Anytime you see a black stamp like that, it's full of color. So 'Tis the Season will be white. So hopefully that helps give you an idea about that. So if I was doing 'Tis the Season, the easiest way, honestly, is to stamp it directly into a white thin cut. So you can see how pretty that looks right there. But if I was doing Warmest Greetings, you could get that kind of a look on a colored label. So this is the card that's in the catalog. And if you were looking at this on page 31, these are the colors, Pine, Rosemary, Seabrook, and Scarlet, that is being used. So it's a little bit more work. I think it's okay. I'm not loving the card overall. So I decided to change it up to show you something that I think you'll really enjoy learning how to make. Look how pretty this card is. Now this is gold embossing. And I am using our Christmas red stickles, and Seabrook is the paper. I just love that soft, soft color of the Seabrook. And I use that border stamp to do my envelope, the outside of my envelope. So I thought that would be fun. But we're going to be doing some gold embossing. And you can see this is where I added the label. Doesn't that look pretty there? With the scallop edging all the way around and that stitching line. So I want to do gold embossing with you, and also to let you know I had some gold gems and a little bit of gold thread that I added to it, and there is a little bit of sponging. So let's get started. All right, so I have my embossing products out. I'm going to be using the Versamark. I'm using gold embossing powder. The anti-static pouch works great to wipe down our paper before we do any embossing. Tweezers and a craft tray to catch everything, as well as my heat tool. The other thing I wanted to mention about this particular card that we're going to be making is let's just talk color for a second. So we have these pretty greens, and I chose Seabrook. I just love that soft look. But here's Rosemary, and here's Pine. So you could easily mix and match or change it out completely. And don't forget, our paper has 2 tones, so there is even a lighter side that you can use. So those are your greens. When it came to the red, this is Scarlet, this is Desert Rose, and this is cranberry, Candy Apple. So if you flip it over, you have the lighter tones. Now, I like the Candy Apple, but it was a little bit too bright for this particular card. I do like the Desert Rose, and I could have used that, but you know what? I really wanted something closer to match those stickles, and that's where the Scarlet came in. So you could use either side of that, but as you can see, look how close Desert Rose is. It's a shade or 2 lighter than Scarlet, so that would have been another option. And I even tried the glitter paper. This is Scarlet glitter paper. So if you want to jazz it up, that might work really well for you. So by playing around with these different swatches, there's really no wrong answer. It's just a personal choice. So one of the things I did is I cut my Seabrook paper 4 by 5 1/4, and I glued that to the front of my card. I have my swatches of other paper inside. So these measurements are 2 1/8 square of Seabrook, 3 3/4 by 5 of white daisy, and this is the piece that will get embossed. And I'm also going to be embossing this piece. So you'll see how that comes out for this square. And here's that beautiful piece as well. So first let's do this little piece right here. So I'm going to take my anti-static pouch, wipe it down, and I'm going to ink up my message. And I'm going to get close to the edge, but leaving some white all the way around. I found this to be easier. Now, I have enough here to work with, so I don't have to worry about using tweezers on this, but I will on the bigger piece. So you spread that powder all over the place and definitely move it out of the way so that you don't blow that powder when you go to use your heat tool. Now, here's a word of advice about the heat tool. Don't touch this when it's been on for a while. You will burn yourself. And be very careful because the heat tool gets really hot. So I have it on, and I'm just waiting for it to really develop into that hot sense, right? That really hot air. Now I know a lot of people usually ask, what about a blow dryer? Well, a blow dryer doesn't really get hot enough and it blows too much air. So you really want the tool. I like to stay in the area until you see it solidified. That's when the magic happens. Once all that powder is dissolved and it solidifies, you are good to go. So there's no granular look whatsoever on this piece. So that's what you want when you're heat embossing. So I do want this to be about 1 7/8. Yes, you heard me right. 1 7/8. And that is going to go right on top of this paper. I might trim just a smidge off that top piece as well. I just found it much easier to work doing it that way. All right, now it's time to go on to our big piece. I'd like to have some scrap paper underneath, and I will take the anti-static pouch. So if you don't have the anti-static pouch, what will happen is sometimes when you put the embossing powder on it, the powder sticks to the area it shouldn't. So that's one of the reasons that we use that pouch. All right, we have our Versamark. Now, if you have a gold embossing pad and the gold powder, that works too. If you want to do it in silver, whatever color is yours, I'm sure it'd be really pretty in silver. But if you noticed how I'm pouncing on top, so that's the easiest way, in my opinion, to ink up your stamp. Now, this is a really big stamp, so you want a lot of pressure. The bigger the stamp, the most pressure. So using the tweezer, I just like to hold it in place, not get my fingers all over it, and really be liberal with putting the powder on top. And then you want to shake that off just a bit. So there you have your powder is ready to go. And let's get this out of the way. We don't want to blow our powder all over the place. And we're going to heat emboss this, and you can watch the magic happen. So I just wanted to stop to show you this is all embossed, and now you can see that the powder is still sticking to the ink and needs to be heat embossed, but that means it's not done. But everything over here is done. So now I can hold this with my fingers. There you have it. That is completely done and ready to go. All right, the next step, what I'd like to show you is how easy it is to just add a little bit of color, and that really changes this look. It's elegant on its own, but here I'm going to use pine, and I'm going to dab a little off here. But actually, it looks so gorgeous on here. So I'm not doing all of it, I'm doing some areas. And it's nice when you catch the edge. Isn't that pretty? Hope you can really get a good look at it. But it's funny how the pine ink just looks so pretty with that Seabrook. Who would have thought? So just to give you an idea again, I mean, I was playing with color, right? I could matte this if I want to make a double matte, which really looks pretty. But I opted to go with less and more with elegance. But you have the rosemary color, which really is stunning as well. The things that I didn't like was when I tried to add like a red, just to give you an idea. And this is how you should play so you can see. It's pretty, but it really, to me, took away from the card, from the look that it's, the elegance of it. And I like the scarlet, but it dragged it down. And this is exactly how I play with scrapbooking. These are the kinds of things that I'll play with color and looking at it and getting an overall feel of the project and the right colors to use. So hopefully that's a good tip for you. All right, we're going to glue this down. Now another cool thing that you could do with this is actually cut this in half and make 2 cards. Just change it up a little bit, but then you'll have one big embossing piece that you'll cut in 2 and then use it for the top or a bottom of a card. And I think you'll really like that look as well. All right, so the stickles will be the very last thing I do. As you know, stickles is something that takes a little while to dry. So we already have our embossed image, and I definitely want to add a little pop-up tape to that. And you can see I have my choice, right? I'm going to show you so you get an idea. Look how pretty. That's Seabrook. So if you love the idea of something being very monochromatic, there you have it. You want to add a little bit of green. Green is your thing. You know what? The pine works too. The rosemary would work too. This is the glitter. But remember, I don't have the balls on here, so it doesn't quite pick up that look. And I opted for the scarlet. When you add that little bit of glitter, it just popped it, and that's the red that I brought into it. But any one of these colors would work. So you wouldn't have to do anything else to this card. So let me just show you one other thing that I will be adding, and I'm going to put it on right to the back of this, just getting this ready here. Where is my wire? Oh, here we are. This is gold thread. I'm almost out of it, but it's something that you can find. And let me just use my bone folder just to help get the kinks out. So what I like to do is grab a large glue dot and put it on the inside of my middle finger, so you can see it there. And then I'll wrap the thread about 4 times around, trim it, and then I wrap that glue dot around those loose ends as you pull it off your finger. And then you can move this around a little bit. And here it is. I'm actually just going to stick this. I don't want to see those threads right there. There we go. So I just need to add my red strip. And I'm just eyeballing this. It's about like an inch and an inch from the top, an inch from the left side, because this is my fold is here on this side. Oh, I want to add my little bit of gold gems before I put that down. Or you can use stickles. And if you're doing silver, of course, you can do silver. And that's it. Isn't that gorgeous? Just that gold with a little bit of sponging, that little pop of red, and I haven't even added the stickles, so I will do that. And this is the Christmas red stickles, and I'll just show you if that's something you're not familiar with. So easy. You might want to squeeze it out on a piece of scrap paper first to get it going. And then you just squeeze and fill in all those cute little berries wherever you want. So that gives you an idea. I'll finish doing this, but you can see the finished product right there. And at the end of this video, I will have a shopping list or an ingredient list so that you can check your stash to see what you have. And remember, this is such a pretty collection. This is Warmest Greetings, card front and stamp and thin cuts. And yes, you could use this for scrapbooking as well. It would be beautiful, even in a 4x6 or a 3x4 flip flap with a message on it. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this copycat art, and I look forward to sharing another project with you.